Sorry, I didn't have the stream muted, and I heard myself, and I sounded incredibly fucking weird. I'll try not to ruin the ambiance too much, because this game does have a significant... It's not quite Metal Gear, where we're here for 40 minutes watching stuff, and then playing for 10.
Really be in this town?
Hawk Tuba. Yeah, it's as good of a remaster as you could really want out of it. They did a lot of work to get all the fog effects working. This game got an HD re-release for the PS3 and the 360 that is notoriously pretty bad, because a lot of the effects got removed.
Oof.
Dreams. I see that town. Silent.
Burger Town. Should have said Flavor Town. Would have been fun.
The name on the envelope said Mary.
Just a big red M.
My wife.
That's all she sent me. When I was in grade school, I had a PS1 demo disc that had Silent Hill 4 on it. And the opening of Silent Hill 4 is you in the dingiest room imaginable, and mold is growing on the wall, and something starts to come out of it. And me and a friend played the demo like on a dare, and it scared the shit out of us. So their explanation is that Silent Hill 1 is in what's called Old Silent Hill. This is the newer part of town. If you ever go to Old Silent Hill, but if you look at your map, you can actually see it. Like when I played this with Aquanaz a couple months back, I brought up something, which is that there are little bits and pieces of this game that you kind of don't think about, but do have cultural remnants from Japan. One of which is health drinks like that are very common in Japan. They're not common in America at all. There's nothing in like a little medicine bottle you would like find laying around to drink. But it is one of those things you're like, oh yeah, it's a health drink, it's a little drink in a video game. You don't really think about it. Like if you just playing the game, you're like, yeah, it's just a video game thing. You probably don't realize that in Japan, it's a little more grounded and real. When enemies fall to the ground, they're usually not dead. If you go up to them and I think hit circle or square, you'll stomp on them and kill them.
What the?
I didn't find that out until halfway through the game.
I better take it in.
And as a result, I was constantly running out of ammo. So the game doesn't really explain its combat at all, probably for obvious reasons. You have charge attacks, and then you have quick attacks. What my family hears when it's 3 in the morning and I'm scrounging for cheese. I'm in a cave-in on the road. I can't go any further. It's like, it's obviously pretty extreme, but I like that it's not an immediate tell. That's just in someone's front yard, dude. Could you imagine, like, having that? And, like, you know there's a bunch of people who would get really shitty about it, too. Like, they demand it get removed and shit. Like, I don't want to take care of this. It's an eyesore. You're taking some damage. You gotta drink your health drinks. You gotta get stronger. They do the thing RE4 does, which is certain items that you can interact with don't have any lighting, so they do stand out. But sometimes you'll just, like, if you don't know where to go and you're stuck in a room, kind of see if he's looking anywhere. So I'll say this much. My time with Silent Hill 2 taught me, one, this game I think very much lives up to its reputation. It's a very effective horror. But also it's full to the brim with what I would call haunted house bullshit. It's just a bunch of, like, fucking nonsense. Where it's, like, the type of shit that if you were making a haunted house, someone would be like, we should have it do this. And be like, yeah, dude, that'd be fucking sick. And that's what so much of the game is. And I feel like a lot of modern horror games don't do that. Because I think your horror game is either trying to be, like, serious, and so you don't want to put in, like, no, we can't just put in fucking scares just for the sake of it. Like, it has to be legitimate. But I think it's ironic, because I think of games like Amnesia, right? Serious horror games. They're not going to put things in there, you know, just to scare you, because that would break the immersion of the world. But they're doing that because on some level they want to be as acclaimed as Silent Hill 2, which is full of it. And it's just one of those things I think about where, like, because the guys who are making Silent Hill were like, it's a horror game, it should be spooky. They also didn't look down on it. They weren't like, oh, it's a horror game, it doesn't matter. Which I think, like, where they're like, it doesn't actually matter to do X or Y. You know, like, they cared. But also they understood the point of it was to scare you. And that sometimes that means throwing shit at you you don't expect. Because, like, all the apartments are functionally the same, but, you know, one, they're apartments. But two, like, the fact that you're actually scrambling around a full apartment complex and not just, like, the clearly, like, notated rooms does make the game feel less like ironically, less like a haunted house and more like an actual, like, place in reality. You can also turn off your flashlight.
Right.
I don't think there's any reason to. Would you live in an apartment like this? Let's work under the assumption it's clean. Like, there's not actually, it's like, I live in an old house, and it's like a house that's constantly accumulating dust and dirt and shit, but it's not, like, gross, necessarily. But, like, the wood's old and stuff.
Ow!
Ha ha.
Hey, wait!
Damn it.
Hey, wait, before you leave, let me get a look at your pants. One of those games where, like, is there something in the dark, or is there just dust on my screen? You should not, anytime there's a shopping cart inside a place that's not, like, a retail store, like, that's bad. That's a really bad sign. Go into your apartment late at night and you see your fucking neighbor and he's zoning out. Fun fact, that model is a modified version of James's model.
It was...
I don't think, yeah, it doesn't seem to mean anything. It seems to just be asset reuse, but it is one of those things where, like, there's an implication. So I think people will engage with horror stories in a context where they don't work or are numbed. Like, if you watch a horror movie in the middle of the fucking day with, like, your buddies, right? It's not going to work. It's not going to be as effective. I do think there's an argument to be made that, like, a great horror movie works even in that context. Oh, this is freaky. I like that he's still justifying shit. My very first thought is, oh, we're no longer bound by the rules of reality. But James, who has at this point murdered shit, is just like, they must have knocked down the fire escape when they put the building next to it. Dude, like, this part would fucking suck. Make sure to tune in this time tomorrow when we do the Talk to a reaction podcast. As we're going to react to every episode of Talk to a as it comes out. When games look too clean, that's when it gets bad. That, like, the fact that everything in this game is so dingy and layered does make it feel very, like, real. It's 81 fucking degrees out, and it's a fucking, like, it's fucking night in fucking late September. Those YouTube videos about, like, gnomes and shit make them so fucking sinister. They're supposed to be goofy and fun, and, like, fucking Don to Don, this manga, about, like, supernatural stuff. The chapter ends, and she's looking in, like, a bookcase, and there's a gnome poking its head out. And it's, like, supposed to be goofy, I feel. Like a, whoa, what's that? But it really does feel sinister as shit. I do like that he's not just, like, a bystander for these other people. I like that James is himself also a weirdo, and you can tell for a little bit there, like, he was weirding her out. I think that's a way more interesting way to keep these characters from working together. Because a lot of the time it's like, oh, they can't work together because of, you know, whatever reasons. I think the idea, like, they just don't want to hang out with him because he's a fucking weirdo. Like, that's a really good, like, compelling way to do it. It was probably Universal, but I feel like I remember there's like a weird Jurassic Park haunted house thing that they did at one of the parks that, like, involved them making dinosaur human hybrids. I think it was called like Project Evolution, and it had like this complex lore around it that's almost lost to history. That's the crazy shit about theme parks and everything, right? Is it's not like categorized or it's not archived properly or anything, right? Like if you don't see it with your own eyes, a lot of that stuff's gone. These days with like GoPros and shit, it's not quite as bad.
But back.
Same thing with arcade games. There's a bunch of Jurassic Park light gun games, and every once in a while I'll check in and see if anyone's like gotten them to work or dumped them or anything. No, man, they're just gone. You just have to find one. I actually found one time, like 2 years ago. It was at a bowling alley.
Ooh.
And there were these little kids who were playing it the whole time. And I was not going to make the kids leave. There's a part of me that was checking. But also I also very distinctly remembered playing the Lost World light gun game when I was a kid with my cousin. And I would have murdered a fucking man to get to play it as long as those kids got to play theirs. It's about building the future better than you had it. Being inside interiors in this game feels a lot like what it's like when there's like a store outside and you go in someplace to get away from it. You do feel sheltered, but there's still like this weird like feeling of danger around you. The outfit that she's wearing is triggering me. The triggering joke in 2024. In case you were wondering, I will be on the Joe Rogan Experience next week. What's the deal with Joe Biden? Why is he messing up this country? Why can't we get this country back on track? Why can't I make certain jokes anymore? Fun fact, the composer for this game, Akira Yamaoka, also is the composer for No More Heroes. And a lot of the Suda51 stuff, actually. He did Killer 7, he did No More Heroes 1 and 2. I think he did Killer is Dead. Did not do No More Heroes 3. Travis Strikes Again had another different, like, they got like an indie dude in Japan to do it, and they brought him back for 3. Did a fucking stellar job. Like a fantastic soundtrack. You should, like, following up Yamaoka is like one of those things where you would pull at your collar like, I gotta do fucking what? But goddamn, dude. They did a real fucking good job.